Great day to make history.
My name is Christina. I'm the state representative for Texas House District 145, and I'm just so excited to be here in front of this historical building, the LULAC Council 60 Clubhouse. To have all this LULAC leadership here with us. Today we want to announce that we filed the bill again to make ethnic studies accessible to all students in Texas public high schools.
Yeah!
And this time we're going to pass it. We made history passing it through the House, and we're going to get it all the way through with the help of Senator Alvarado. We know now that students want to take these classes. The interest in these classes has only increased since they've been available as an elective. But I'm here to tell you that our history is not an elective. It should not be an elective.
That's right.
Our history is important to our students. I know my personal story is knowing my family's history has led me to the success I have in my life. We need to ensure that all students in our Texas public high schools learn about their own history so that they can succeed. Because that's for a better Texas, right, y'all?
Yeah. Exactly.
We need more ethnic studies courses as well. So we started off with Mexican American studies, thanks to Tony Diaz. I know you had something to do with that. We have African American studies now. Soon we will have Asian American studies.
Yeah!
Woo! And in Grand Prairie ISD, they piloted a program for American Indian Native Studies for the 21-22 school year.
Wow.
This is awesome. This is groundbreaking stuff. We need to make sure that HISD is also developing the Mexican American Studies course through their innovative course development program. But during the 87th legislative session, HB 1504 passed the Education Committee unanimously. So this is a bipartisan bill. The joint authors are my colleague here, Jean Wu. Thank you, Jean Wu. Representative Allen, Representative Jarvis Johnson, and we also had Representative Dan Huberty. We're sorry that he's not able to participate this time around. He's no longer a state representative, but we know that we can have bipartisan support with this bill. So I'd like to open it up to my friend here, Tony Diaz.
Thank you so much. Really wonderful to join all of you here again. Thank you for making history one more time. I want to tell people this is exciting because all the research proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that students who take culturally relevant courses, participate in class more, go to school more often, do better, not just in that class, but in all classes across the board. So it's wonderful to unite with our brothers and sisters from every walk of life to make sure that our students are excited about learning, but that we tell the story of how every community has shaped this city, this state, this nation. And it's going to be beautiful to see everybody unite to get this done. Last legislative session, we didn't get a full vote on the floor on the Senate side. The bill wasn't able to do so. It was late at night. I really look forward to the day of light when every Texas representative and legislator can unite and tell us that they want the best education possible for our students, to tell all of our stories, and that Texas will be a leader in fulfilling this legacy and through achieving the American dream to education. So really happy to be here with everybody else.
How y'all doing? My name is Jean Wu. I'm a state rep from Southwest Houston. People of color have been marginalized and have been whitewashed and have been erased from the long and beautiful history that is our nation. And it's time that this stopped, because it's time for our communities to recognize that Latinos, African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, we're all a part of this country. We all help build this country. And it is time that our own children, that our communities were able to learn about it and respect themselves and love themselves and recognize that their forefathers had a part in building this great country. And here is what the law is right now. The law is, at this very moment, if you take these courses, they are worthless because you will not get a single bit of credit for it. You will not get any recognition for having taken them. They will not apply to your diploma. They will not count. All we're asking for is for the history of our people, the history of our struggles, the history of our suffering and our triumphs to count, to matter for one time. It is time for all of us to matter together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo!
Senator Alvarado.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Carol Alvarado, State Senator, and proud to be the sponsor in the Senate with Representative Morales. I want to thank her for her leadership. She came into the session previously as a newbie, and she hit the ground running. And I can't thank her enough for her leadership on this. Representative Wu has always stood with our community, and I want to thank him again. So we didn't get it across the finish line this time. Unfortunately, it got caught up in the Senate, but we are going to file the bill again, or maybe she has filed it today. Okay. And we're going to continue to work with our stakeholders that are here behind us. Tony Diaz and I, we've taken on the State Board of Education when it comes to getting books right and having literature and courses that reflect who we really are in our history, and we have prevailed on that. And it just goes to show you that if you stay persistent, you make the case, hopefully eventually people will listen. So we think it's important that students have the opportunity to learn their history. We're at a point in time where people are more concerned about sound bites and actual truth, and it's very crucial that students have access to information that reflects who they are and who this beautiful, diverse community that we live in, who those individuals are as well. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Y con más ganas, vamos adelante. Thank you, Representative Morales.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, we have such a beautiful, diverse state. Let's celebrate it. Let's make sure that kids have access to their history. Let's make sure that it counts towards a graduation credit, especially right now in these post-COVID times where we need to make sure kids are graduating from high school. So I'm just very grateful to be here with my colleagues and all of these leaders. And we'll see you in the 88.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Senator?
yes.
There we go again.
Awesome.
So I'm going to do it in Spanish.
Okay, yes, in Spanish.
Muchas gracias. Aquí estamos unidos en la casa de LULAC, que cualquier día va a ser renovado. Es un lugar, es un sitio histórico. Yo me llamo Tony Diaz, el libro traficante. Aquí estamos con la representante Christina Morales, que está sometiendo esta propuesta para una ley donde nosotros vamos a estudiar nuestra historia, que es muy importante para nuestra juventud. Queremos que todos sepan que vamos a necesitar su apoyo desde su barrio, a su concilio, al estado. Aquí estamos nosotros en Houston, Texas, pero tenemos colegas, amigos, familia, sintonizándonos desde Austin, Texas, San Antonio, El Valle, El Paso, y nos vamos a unir todos para exigir que respeten nuestra historia, nuestra cultura, porque vamos a celebrar también cuando pasen esta ley. Ahorita vamos a invitar a la representante para decirle un poco de su familia y por qué es un honor para luchar para esta bill, porque ella es nuestra campeona en el Senado de Texas. Gracias.
Mi nombre es Christina Morales, representante estatal mira, mi familia tiene una bonita historia aquí en Houston, Texas. Empezaron la difusora Radio Morales, KLBL, La Voz Latina. Era la primera estación de radio casi en Texas. Y mucha gente que no hablaba inglés, escuchaba en la estación de radio para trabajar, para saber si venía un huracán. Y ahora parece a veces que estamos atrasados, que no estamos celebrando nuestra historia. Pero con este bill ahora se llama HB 45, vamos a luchar y vamos a pasar ley que dice que todos los estudiantes en Texas pueden aprender su historia y también las historias de diferentes comunidades en el estado de Texas y en la ciudad de Houston. Gracias.
También estamos con la senadora Carol Alvarado, que usted ya conoce por mucho tiempo, una amiga, otra campeona por nuestra cultura. Hemos tenido muchas batallas, logrado mucho, y también aquí está para apoyarnos, pero también hacer que esta propuesta se haga ley. Por favor, Carol Alvarado.
Gracias. Otra batalla. Aquí vamos. Siempre estamos en una lucha. Quiero agradecer al representante Morales y Tony, todas las organizaciones que están aquí con nosotros. Otra vez vamos a seguir con este bill, es HB 45. 45. Como su distrito. Buen hecho. Ella tiene mucho poder. You have so much power. Pero es importante, como dijeron mis amigos aquí, que nuestra gente, nuestros estudiantes aprenden nuestra cultura, nuestra historia. Es importante. Tenemos que saber de dónde venimos y dónde vamos. Y con eso estoy aquí para apoyar a todos y necesitamos toda la pública también que pueden apoyar, pueden venir a Austin a las reuniones y poner su apoyo y estamos aquí para luchar adelante. Gracias.
Let me make it clear, please.
Awesome. Thank you.
45.
If you know, we just found out today, so coincidence.
I love
maybe
it.
that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Y'all. We're gonna do it.
I
We're gonna
love
do
it.
it.
Love it.
We're gonna
Can
do
we get
it.
a few quotes for the
How did you manage?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to ask if
Yes, go ahead.
I love it. They were bilingual.
yeah, so can you kind of explain what happened with the last legislative session?
How are you?
We got a Johnny Foster reunion.
Yeah, I heard.
So
I
I
couldn't
was
wait.
Okay.
in the middle of being a freshman, kind of, because I don't know if you know, but in 2019 I came in as a special, so I started halfway. So this was my first full session, and now having a session under my belt, I know where I can start a little earlier, get the senator on board, which she already is. Working on, finding out who the public ed care person is going to be. But to be quite frank with you, there was a whole calendar of bills that was filled by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
We're still gonna do more.
So that's my follow-up question is, like, given that last legislative session has been opposite was passed as far as the bans, obviously this is not but how are you going to, I guess, given that we're going to
Oh yeah.
how do you plan to make sure this gets passed, given like there's their active opposition to.
I think at this point it depends on the relationships that we have with the community. I let our speaker know that this was something I was very passionate about, and this is something that I came to do at the Texas House. And I explained to him how it helps our students and how diversity is so important in our state, and we should celebrate it. And it passed through the House, so there is interest in this bill, and I know we can pass it. And I'm going to go in very optimistically. I think it is kind of crazy that we found out today that it is number 45, and my district is 145. So let's hope that that's a good thing.
Good
and it has a small bill number, which I'm not used to that either. So I was like, what? It's number 45. Representative Wu has served a lot longer, so maybe we can offer some more insight. But we did invite Representative Jarvis Johnson and Dr. Alma Allen, but it was kind of short notice. They didn't make it, but they signed on to the bill as well. And so we have a really diverse group of folks who are helping us. And let's not forget that Tony Diaz was there and actually gave a beautiful testimony. And Ronald Castro, an actual teacher, veteran, they came and testified, and we had a beautiful list of folks. We didn't overwhelm them with testimonies. We were just very to the point, direct, and it passed unanimously in public ed.
And what you say public ed is like the
committee that would go through.
Okay.
I mean, it should go through public ed. Yeah, sometimes they throw it close.
And is there anything that, like, would you have to overturn the last bill that was passed in order to get this one passed? Does it come into conflict at all, or are they totally separate?
Totally separate things as far as I'm concerned, but we did talk about this a little bit this year.
It's a small add-on, and then you kind of have to understand the way education works. So to graduate the standard for education around here in Texas, you have to have government, you have to have econ, you have to have U.S. history. But the last two, world history and world geography, are the four. All we're doing is adding it up. It gives schools options, it gives students options. A lot of times when you go to a school, you just feel like that's the kind of thing that's always been. It doesn't always be that.
No.
They just want to learn different things about themselves, and they know that option exists.
And I want to add that this is no cost to the state.
So what was your favorite?
Built into the system.
The state already authorized it.
Yes.
And we already have curriculum for it. All we have to do is say yes.
And
Yeah.
We would have loved to stay right now.
I was going to ask a question about, do the students know that they'll get credit then at this point, right?
They don't get credit right now. It's an elective, but any of the students in our inner city schools do not have an opportunity to take an elective.
And this would mandate that elective be made at least available to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And but the electives already exist in plenty of school districts. But it wouldn't. So it would just mandate that it be made available. It doesn't mandate that students have to sign up.
I just want it passed.
It's only that it's made available, and then they have the choice between world geography, world history, then
Okay.
Mexican American studies.
Do me a favor, hold on. Then you're arguing that students are interested in these guys.
Absolutely. This thing about they need to build a school of 400, and then I said, you gotta talk to your papa, because he knows the lady is still alive. What?
That order is such a big difference.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
When you say and at the expense of when you say or, like very I told her. I teach at the academy here in Texas, and I've been part of the bill and the whole fight for many years. I was there when we tried to find the book. I was there when they passed it. I've been following this from the beginning. But you always got to still be vocal. You're the engineer. Like, you know this.
All the way to
At a school like my school,
and we even have
like
one of the
anybody's information.
newsletters is a picture
It costs about it. I'm about I went through so many things. And the principals knew that these elected was a demand because students have to demand it. they have to know that it's available. So you put these two together, demand plus the personal availability of somebody in the room that's willing to teach it and knows what they're teaching.
And so your school does currently offer it?
No, but HIC does.
It does. Okay.
All it is demand.
And like, so you would be willing, so like this is something that you want to teach?
I've taught it in the past. As soon as a state made it available, I taught it when I was teaching at Yes Prep. So they just have to make it available, and the principals have to put it in the course catalog, because every spring they present it to the students. This is what's available next year. You don't present it, it doesn't get chosen. So it's hard to put it in front of the kids, and they can't demand it. So it's hard to photograph with all of you and some of the Clubhouse people out here. And then the parents demand it because it's in the community. And everybody wants that choice. The parents want the choice, students want the choice, but they have to be given the choice.
But one big issue, though, is that making it a graduation requirement is a complete game changer, because just that phrase means that a school is going to invest in an instructor and putting it in the curriculum, and then we start codifying. So that's huge, because then it also packs a bigger punch at every single school district. Although that's what we need.
I thought you just said that it's not an obligation, that it's not a graduation obligation.
So right now, for example, so you mentioned a school might offer it.
Yeah.
Right? They might offer it. It doesn't count as a high school graduation requirement. It has to count as an elective or something else.
Because so there's a history requirement, the social studies requirement, the elective requirement.
It's basically a second-class class, right? So to lay people, it may not mean much, or parents, but to school administrators, that's a major game changer.
So it counts towards. So you're saying it counts the credit towards
exactly.
Right. Okay.
And for most students too, they don't have to add on extra courses. It's not a little off their path at all. It's right down that lane, and that actually builds things up a lot going down the.
I wanted to ask you, because I know that you've worked on like things like this across the country, like where this fits into the legacy of, fighting for these classes to be available, and also fighting against having these classes removed, like in, when the legal production this first started and things like that.
So we're celebrating 10 years since our community came together to overturn the banning of Mexican American Studies in Arizona. So that was one turning point. For a little while, Texas was ahead in ethnic studies because it was one of the first states to recognize Mexican American history and African American history statewide. However, since then, California is now the leader. And in fact, my book just came out, The Tip of the Pyramid, Cultivating Community Culture Capital, Libertad Africana desde Lenin and Libertad Africana towards California. Long story short, in one city, we talked to 200 ethnic studies teachers, not students, not folks that might teach it one day. They're teaching it in high schools right now. And now in California, it's not just a high school requirement, but several of the universities have it as a graduation requirement for undergraduate degree as well. We need to catch up because all the research shows that all the students, especially students that are African American or Latino who take cultural courses, they just do better across the board. So, and let me put it this way: when I teach cultural literature to my students, I'm a college professor, I gotta tell them class is over. I gotta be like, yo, we gotta go. Stop. And I think every teacher dreams of teaching something like that. And it would be wonderful to share that with everybody. And we'd make that available more to the 1,200 school districts. So I think this would be a chance for Texas to take a leading role in the country for ethnic studies, just because of our population too.
And this bill is it specifies it's specific for high school students. It's not K through 8.
Exactly, and that's a good distinction because in California they're actually working on K through 8 curriculum as well.
Awesome. Is there anything else that y'all want to add?
I think what's different than last time too is that the bill is being filed sooner, and then also we have the experience from last time, and it's going to be an even bigger grassroots effort.
Yeah.
So right now, every city is tapped in, but they know what it is now.
Yeah.
Right. So that's exciting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let's try to do it.
Let's
try to
come
do
over
it.
here.
Yeah,
Come
let's
here.
come over here.
Pictures.
So, we got the rain. We just have to deal with
Go on that side. this
Not
way.
too far out.
Hit it
Come
down.
on this side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she can get.
I'll be in the very back. I'll be in the very back. You all can get away. You want me to move this thing? Or
Yeah, you can move it back to you.
Yeah, let's
Take pictures.
let's move it to the corner.
Yeah.
I guess Jake would say that.
I'm always in the back. So I got boots on too.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
This will be on page 45 of the history book.
Yes, Tony.
I'm next.
45.
Next, here go 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on.
You joke about that. Like,
What
no.
are those boots made out of?
They're made for
1, 2, 3. Okay.
What a beautiful.
Awesome. Awesome. Good job, my team.
I thought you were gonna say
Thank you, LULAC.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. We're going to get it done this time.
Oh, yeah.
We are. We're
And of course, we have Dr. Lear. I love saying his name because it's un doctor. We need more gente who have PhDs. He's an educator. He's in the community. He schools right-wingers on What's Your Point, and he's always here for the community. Dr. Lira, how big a deal is this?
Huge. You know, the importance of having ethnic studies and different ethnic groups represented in our history book, our state curriculum, is critically important. Research has shown that it actually lifts the self-esteem of folks that see each other as their role models, folks that look like them, speak like them, know their culture, their traditions, their values. Research has proven that it does help their self-esteem, and more importantly, their academic performance. And that's what education is all about, improving academic performance. And if we can increase ethnic studies across the state, it's a win-win for everyone.
Thank you so much for your leadership all the time.
We're on it always.
I love it. So we're here in Houston, Texas. It's great to see you, brother. We're here in Houston, Texas, in front of the historical LULAC Clubhouse, and it's being renovated. We're so happy for the Houston Endowment for making a major grant to renovate this. It will be fully functional soon, but we don't want any of our allies, our brothers and sisters in other cities to feel left out. So right now, I'm going to throw it to some of our colleagues who are tuning in, and they'll be talking to you from around the state. And right after Ron Castro, who's a teacher, who's been in this battle for a very long time. I'm going to move the camera in because it doesn't get wet, but
Okay, good.
move in. Ron, how big a deal is this as an educator?
So it's a huge deal, but I want to send this message out to parents and students. These classes already exist. So you have to do your part by asking your school and your district to have them in your building. If you don't ask, it won't happen. I can ask as a teacher, but I've got to have bodies, and that's just a personal, a personal preference. I can teach government, I can teach econ, I prefer to teach Mexican American studies, I prefer to teach African American studies, but I need you as a parent and you as a student to say to your school and to your district, I want this in my building. These courses, we have planning in HISD, we have planning in Fort Bend, we have planning in Spring Branch and Aldine. We have the curriculum. We just need you to demand it from your principals and from your district to be in your building. That's all I wanted to say. Ask for it.
Thank you so much for reminding us that. And you got your Houston Astros gear.
All the time.
World Series winners. Thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you.
I really appreciate all the work that Ron does as an educator, family man, community member, and he's right. We all have to do our part as well. And I want to thank Rodrigo Bravo. He is producing this on the ground. Also, Roxana Guzman, who's helping this get it on the air. So right now then, Rodrigo, if you would kindly then cut to some of our other colegas. Again, we'll do more shows about this. This was, we wanted to get the stuff on the ground. We'll be doing these things in the studio. We'll be visiting your cities. But we've got colleagues and champions at all other cities. Right now, I won't be able to cut them in. They're going to come in, talk to you on the broadcast, say a few words, and then we'll be posting this on Nuestra Palabra's Facebook page, as well as 90.1 FM, KPFT Houston's community station, and the video will air on fox26houston.com. Thank you all. I think we're starting with Valerie. Valerie,
I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, great. Hello. I can't. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you could hear me. So hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today My name is Dr. Valerie A. Martinez, a she, her, ella. I'm an assistant professor of history and program head at Our Lady of the Lake University. I'm also chair of the National Association for Chicana and Chicano Studies, Texas Foco Pre-K through 12 Committee. I'm speaking from San Antonio, Yanaguana, Texas, in support of Representative Christina Morales' bill, HB 45, that would allow all ethnic studies courses to be counted towards social studies credits. As a U.S. historian focusing on military history, Mexican American and women and gender studies, it is absolutely paramount that all students across the state have an accurate, holistic picture of the history of the United States. Ethnic studies is not divisive curriculum. This is a curriculum that centers truth and the telling of our nation's history. The framework we use to understand our national origins does not romanticize our past, because that would be a complete disservice to our students who will enter an increasingly globalized political economy. No, the frameworks utilized within ethnic studies courses, such as Mexican American Studies, African American, American Indian Native Studies, and Asian American Studies, use a far more robust way to study the diverse lived experiences of the various peoples and nations on North American soil. Learning these diverse histories and experiences will not divide us, but instead will allow students to see the humanity of the people within their communities. So thank you, and I hope you will also support this ethnic studies bill so all our children will have the opportunity to learn more about their neighbors, thereby creating a more understanding, compassionate society that fosters communal growth and empowerment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela Valenzuela, and I'm faculty in the College of Education at UT Austin in the Department of Educational Leadership and Policy. Valerie did such a great job of explaining the real scope and what we're to understand about ethnic studies, which is really it's really like a college level curriculum is what we're talking about. I just had some students present in one of my classes at UT last week, and the students said that it was their absolute favorite class, and they're strong advocates. These are young people that ethics had the opportunity to take advantage of local policy here, where we instituted ethnic studies at the high school level in every high school in the Austin Independent School District. These students were from the LASA Academy, where there's a lot of pressure, and it was hands down their best course that they had taken in all of high school. They had some insightful comments. One comment was that that we really probably need to have a new definition of rigor, because this is a curriculum that makes you think. I mean, they have rigor. They're taking courses where they're experiencing rigor. But this is different. This is more like the college classroom at the high school level. And it has to do because there's a long history of ethnic studies that's intimately tied and caught up with what we teach at the university still today, to the very present moment. In fact, the advocates for ethnic studies have been people at the college level overwhelmingly, and it's a broad-based coalition. It's very large, it's growing, it's motivated. And yes, I think that we need to understand ethics as the research itself says, to higher attendance, higher grades, and going to college. Why? Again, because of the association, the strong association between ethnic studies and the college background. The research that we produce, the books that we write, like Dr. Emilio Zamora, who can't be with us, the histories that are produced become part of what is the backbone to understanding not only your own identity and your own culture, but also the history of the United States. It's an entry point into that broader history that begins with a focus on ethnic studies. One of these days, it's just going to be called a good education. Right now, it's called ethnic studies. Hats off to Representative Christina Morales. Hats off to her. This is an amazing achievement, which that last session, House Bill 1504 by Rep. Morales, it came out of the House on Public Education. And from there, it went to the House floor, and it came out of the House floor. That's a major achievement for a bill by a first-time legislator to make that much progress in the legislative session. That bill then went over to the other side, onto the Senate Ed Committee. And what was really interesting was that when that bill got scheduled for Senate Ed, all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes House Bill 3979, which is the precursor to Senate Bill 3. So it's just uncanny. It's interesting. It was the state's response to what we were trying to accomplish. Then both bills ended up on the Senate floor, just shy of the governor's desk. Both bills, House Bill 1504, Rep. Morales Ethnic Studies Bill, and House Bill 3979, which was Texas CRT bill, later Senate in the second called special session of the legislature during the summer. Instead of allowing Morales's bill, House Bill 1504, to just, they just let it die in the night, and they heard solely House Bill 4979. So these were pitted against each other, and what we're saying is that they're not even equivalent. What that bill is talking about is quite radically different from what we're proposing. What we're proposing is something positive. It's very positive for society, including for just as positive for white people and other people, for all people, really, because it's really having that depth that our young people want, that they seek, and that frankly that they need in a country that is inexorably becoming much more diverse, trust democratic. So to try and shut down House Bill 1504 last session is very disappointing and just very misguided. So we really, really want everybody to come out in support of House Bill 45. Is that the bill? I think I wrote it down here. The new bill number, that's a low number. That means the lower they are, they become priorities of the legislature. So that's part of the excitement here. Low bills are awesome. Low bill numbers. But even if it's a high number, the coalition is here to support Rep. Morales. It's a multiracial ethnic coalition. It's exciting. I guess I haven't seen anything in a good long while that really brings our communities together. And this bill does. And that's what's so beautiful about it. And then once we get into the high school classroom, we need to advocate for expanding to other areas. So, yes, we need the social studies, we need the history, but there's also the fine arts, right? There's also ethnoscience. There's other areas, ethnomathematics, that we need to be also bringing in. And then we need to focus on the middle school and then the elementary school levels. Every time I teach it at the college level, I teach ethnic studies, the students always say, always, they're not angry. They feel responsibility for what's happened, and they feel like they've been robbed of an education, including the students that presented last week in my class from the LASA Academy. They feel that they've been robbed. And so let's stop playing games with Texans, a very diverse and very culturally rich and wealthy Texas. And let's honor these identities, these histories. Let's honor our own story, right? We shouldn't be ashamed of it. We should just look at it in the face and say, hey, let's move forward. Great to see you, Valerie. This is so exciting.
Hello, Dr. Valenzuela. Yes, it is so exciting. So it looks like Rodrigo posted, how can we get involved? So there's multiple ways that you can get involved. You can continue to email your State Board of Education member, whether that is an incumbent or a newly elected. I'm sure the newly elected members would love to hear about the significance and importance of ethnic studies content and material, and how this will set our students up for a better future. So I would very much encourage you to contact these newly elected members, and also to continue to relay this information to other members if they were reelected as well. In addition, you can also reach out to your representatives. We can provide a list, and I know Tony will probably have a list up on his website as well of your local representatives and how to search for those. And you can also reach out to organizations. There's a lot of different organizations across the state that are promoting ethnic studies. Like Dr. Valenzuela was saying, we have Ethnic Studies Network of Texas that helps promote. We have also a growing American Indian Native Studies Coalition. We have Asian Texas for Justice, and we also have NACS, right? The National Association of Chicano or for Chicano and Chicana Studies. In addition, in the San Antonio area, we have Somos Mas. So it's a growing community of folks for ethnic studies. You also have the Black Star Initiative in San Antonio with Dr. Lawrence Scott, who's heavily involved for African American studies. So we have lots of places that you can reach out to and people that you would who can support you as you support HB 45.
I could also just add that what Dr. Martinez said about reaching out to your rep is massively important, and I think it involves talking to their staff, involving regularly with people that are supporters who might want to maybe have a teach-in. I mean, we've done a lot of things. We've had press conferences, but Tony is your person. He's your person there in Houston who's going to be able to rally the troops like he's done today. That's my sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Yeah, so for more information, do reach out to Tony Diaz at librotraficante.com.
Call people. We need your support. Whoever you call, just call someone.
Yeah. The jury is in. Okay, this is like not ambiguous. It's been in for a long time, but now we have the data that comes out of Arizona, out of the court battle that happened there in Arizona when the Mexican American Studies program there was dismantled, and research produced by our good friends and colleagues over there, like Dr. Nolan Cabrera. They did the analysis. There was a whole film that came out of this. It's nice to see that film and see what they discovered. It's called Precious Knowledge. I've shown it to my students. An excellent film. But what they showed was that students who were in the Mexican American Studies TUSD program, that they were these young people who, a number of them were about to drop out. But for the first time, they saw themselves as capable of going to college, of reading books, of doing analyses, conducting research, synthesizing data, making an argument, bringing forward an argument to stakeholders, so that what you do, it doesn't evaporate, but it actually just becomes part of a knowledge base. People who care issue like bilingual education or like ethnic studies itself. I'm speaking now to the just the real beauty of a well-taught ethnic studies program, and we do hope that all of these will be well taught. They tend to get teachers. What do you think, Dr. Martinez? They do tend to get teachers that are very, very motivated to teach it, and who have a background maybe in Mexican American studies. Right now, it's got the social studies base, and so it would be social studies teachers with that background, or it could be with Mexican American studies or Asian American studies, Native American studies backgrounds that can teach this.
I think so, and I think that the creativity and the pedagogy is very much it's part of the name, right? These are studies courses. It's not Mexican American history or African American history or later once we have Asian American and American Indian Native studies. These are studies, so it's very interdisciplinary, very multidisciplinary. So they incorporate history, anthropology, visual and fine arts. So I think that most definitely will speak to the whole person when it comes to students, but it allows a lot of creativity for students. I just saw a friend who teaches a Mas class saying that for one of her final projects, it was going to be for students to collectively create a soundtrack to the new Wakanda movie. So this allows for some type of creativity in our pedagogical methodologies that I think that other courses may be lacking. So if anything, students within these classes will have different frameworks to use, right? So they can use a historical lens while looking at sociological perspectives in terms of these lived experiences, while maybe crafting some type of really cool visual and fine arts project. So that's the beauty, I think, of these courses here, and the content and the ways that students will learn in these ethnic studies classes. And the established ones of MAS and African American Studies, but then on the future ones that are up and coming, and that we also encourage you to have support and support your districts if they're wanting to include Asian American and American Indian Native Studies.
Well, that's a good point, because the State Board of Education is poised at some point, right, to get the Asian American Studies and the Native American Studies courses aligned. Those were passed in 2018, but then passing it consists of two parts. First is like approval from the board, and the second part is to get it aligned to state standards, like we call them TEAC standards, or Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills Standards. And that hasn't happened. I think legislation will motivate for that to happen. Actually, if we pass House Bill 45, and we hope that we will, that it gets signed by the governor, then it gets to the docket for what the State Board of Education has to do, and so that actually could expedite the TEAC's alignment with Asian American Studies and Native American Studies. So that's very hopeful. There's also that kind of work. Reach out to whoever represents you at the state board level. Whoever your State Board of Education member is, they also need to know. We do have a more conservative board coming in. I mean, we've had conservative boards, and so we're not deterred. The evidence is on our side, and it's not like, of a few years or a couple of studies. We're talking about well over 40 years of research that has shown the real positive benefits to ethnic studies. And yes, they are studies, they're interdisciplinary, and that's what makes them exciting, I think, is so that you are intersectional. You're not just looking at race and ethnicity, but you're actually looking at gender, rural versus urban origins. We just look at all the different ways in which people are different, right? And there's amounts of scholarship actually right now that it's unfortunate that here we are in 2022, that it's not made available at the high school level. This has to change. And not just at the high school, but also at the middle and the elementary school levels. We need to get, just get our state boards to be more responsive, but they're not going to be more responsive unless we're involved. Yeah. And what Ron said earlier, it was really excellent. The teacher, Ron Castro, who said that what we also need to do at the grassroots level is approach our board, heads up the Houston Independent School District, and then within that, whoever represents you, meet with them, have one-on-ones with them, show them the research. It's unconscionable that we know of a curriculum that contributes so powerfully to student achievement for us to not have it, or to be denied. It's really a travesty. We claim to be evidence-based. You're welcome, Vigo. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's this is what we live, eat, and sleep, ethnic studies. And so we're really happy. We have an escuelita. I should do a shout out to Academia Cuautli. We have ethnic studies at the elementary level. There are very few ethnic studies programs at that level, but it's here in Austin, Texas, and about students' identities, their indigeneity, their own roots to this continent, for a community that's very marginal. Okay, for a community that unfortunately is Spanish-speaking, working class, largely immigrant, which sounds like a lot of Houston, right? I mean, it would be amazing for Houston also to have ethnic studies at the elementary school level. Everything that we're talking about, it doesn't mean that you can't just go ahead and advocate for what you want at the grassroots level. I mean, you can have it now. What we're talking about is policy change at the state level to impact all of us. But there is nothing to impede any citizen, or group of citizens. I know LULAC has been very involved in these issues at the grassroots level as well. Reach out to LULAC, join LULAC. I belong to LULAC as well. As many voices as we can have, calling for what we want, what we need, what we desire. It resonates. It empowers us. It gives us those tools to have agency in important decision-making spaces. I mean, we saw children from San Antonio, a good number of them, right? A lot of them came and testified, and then they passed said that kids can't do that for credit-bearing courses. I mean, you just can't help but feel that all of this stuff is an attack on what we've been accomplishing. That said, I think that we've been hugely successful in the state of Texas. So we're going to be attacked. But, what we need to do is sort of like show how attacking us is not the answer for ourselves, but for those attacking us. Those attacking us, should actually also deepen their understanding of the history of this state, not to make anybody feel bad, but just to make a better home, to make for more peace, for more tolerance. Tolerance on the basis of ignorance doesn't happen, because that's a vacuum that's not filled. It's filled with potentially lies and conspiracies, as opposed to real data and real children and real teachers, great work, real commitment. All these people aren't committed for nothing. People are deeply, and we're a lot of people. We're too many to count. We're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. As you add us all up throughout the state of Texas. So this is a movement, actual movement. It's a Texas movement. It's a movement, and we're only growing.
Thank you again. And if anybody has any questions concerning the content of, what are we teaching in ethnic studies, I welcome you to contact us. Tony will give our information, but reach out to an ethnic studies scholar, reach out to someone who specializes in these fields, and please just ask questions. If you just have a question, want to know more information, we're happy to spread the word, spread the knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you.